Changer for bars and restaurants who can't find enough staff. And Green Bay's quarterback is sidelined after testing positive for COVID-19, why his vaccination status is now under scrutiny. And we meet Doug, who could be the world's biggest spud.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
New laws go into effect this week in Oklahoma, and one of those gives people a new way to get their alcohol at bars and restaurants. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, an Oklahoma bill that allows customers to serve themselves beer and wine from an automated machine. Patrick Lively, president of the Oklahoma Craft Brewers Association, says he believes the law will also help with the state's ongoing workforce shortage.
And there are new struggles to deal with staffing. And so the ability for them to adjust and adapt and have some flexibility and maybe get more people in their doors with less staff, I think has to be seen as a positive thing.
The new legislature clears the path for any Oklahoma bars or restaurants to use these self-serve machines. Joplin police released the names of 3 officers involved in the fatal shooting of an assault suspect. They are Officer Pete Box, Officer Daryl Klink, and Sergeant Jason Stump. JPD says all 3 officers are still currently on paid administrative leave per department policy and procedure. The department says the officers were involved in the fatal shooting of Joseph Endicott, who was the suspect in Saturday's alleged assault. Authorities say the investigation is ongoing and they have not released why the officers shot Endicott. Well, the sun, it's trying its hardest to break through. Give us a little bit of warmth today. Michael Aislip joins us with a first look at the forecast.
It's going to happen this afternoon. I know that's hard to believe right now. These clouds are very low lying, and despite the fact that it's been very calm and cool today, we are going to get a break. Now, what's the flip side of that? What happens when the cloud cover goes away? Temperatures drop down overnight. We saw that this morning with the freeze warnings and the frost advisories that we have. Here's where we stand outside of Television City currently. Like I said, those clouds aren't even budging. If I didn't know for sure that was a live shot, I'd think it was just actually just a still photo is quite frankly what it looks like. A whole lot of 50s throughout southwest Missouri. That includes Joplin, Carthage, and Lamar. Got a couple 49s there in Parsons and Oswego. Miami bumping up to 52. So it's hard to believe, but once again, this will be the 3rd consecutive day that even at noon, our temperatures a little bit higher than what we topped out the previous day. The Skywatch Storm Tracker does show that cloud cover beginning to break in the far southeastern portion of southwest Missouri, and temperatures going to creep into the mid 50s here, thanks in part to the afternoon sunshine. As the clouds continue to disperse, though, the problem is what happens with our temperatures, because there's nothing to trap it in. Now, right now, we have but a lone freeze warning for our highlighted counties. I'll throw 2 in there because I'll throw Benton County down in northwest Arkansas as well, and Delaware County, of course, in northeast Oklahoma. I'm not going to be surprised, though, if these don't become a little bit more expansive and we end up with frost advisories at least, especially for portions of southwest Missouri that are going to clear off the fastest. The 7-day forecast, Tanya, that as we head into the weekend is actually going to show us warm and dry temperatures. I did say warm because we've got 62 and 68 on the horizon. Coming up here in just a little bit, hey, daylight savings time coming up on Sunday, and not to jump the gun, but just a couple friendly reminders as we walk through, because it's not only your clocks, but a great time to check smoke detectors and also carbon monoxide alarms as well.
Yep, time to change out those batteries.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Michael. Aaron Rodgers, the NFL's current most valuable player, will not play on Sunday against Kansas City because of COVID. An NFL Network insider says Rodgers has tested positive. The Green Bay quarterback is now sidelined under the league's COVID protocol rules. There are also questions about his vaccination status and whether the league and his team gave him preferential treatment. Mulalinga has the latest.
Green Bay Packers star Aaron Rodgers has his team rolling through the NFL this season, but this Sunday they'll have to play without him. The league's COVID-19 protocols kicked in after the 37-year-old quarterback reportedly tested positive for the virus, and team officials are not sharing any other details.
I'm not going to get into any of our coaches or players' vaccination status.
But according to league protocols, vaccinated players can return to the field after 2 negative COVID tests at least 24 hours apart. Unvaccinated players who test positive must remain in quarantine for 10 days, and Rodgers has already been ruled out for Sunday's game. He was asked about his status in August.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized. There's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys.
What Rodgers meant by immunization is now under scrutiny. According to the NFL Network, Rodgers applied for vaccinated status with the league after receiving homeopathic treatment from his personal doctor to raise his antibody levels. NFL.com also reports the league denied his request because it did not provide any documented protection from the coronavirus. But throughout this season, Rodgers appears to have been given privileges afforded only to vaccinated players, like holding indoor press conferences without a mask. If Rodgers was getting a pass on COVID rules, there could be long-term consequences, says athletic reporter Kavitha Davidson.
We could be looking at a suspension potentially. That speaks a lot to special treatment for stars, which is just not what we can afford when we're still in the middle of a pandemic.
We've reached out to Rodgers for comment and have not yet heard back. The NFL says it's up to individual teams to enforce league rules around COVID protocols and that it's currently reviewing the Packers' situation. Rodgers, we should note, is not the only player to test positive in the Packers locker room. 2 players missed a game last week, and the team's third-string quarterback joined Rodgers on the COVID list. Mola Lengi, CBS News, New York.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a New Zealand potato named Doug is in the running for the title World's Biggest. We get to meet him. And later, we're making an Italian-style chili pot in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Well, fall is when pumpkins are found in everything from soups and coffee to pies, breads, and fall decor. But climate change is threatening the crop. Excessive rain has led to a disappointing harvest, especially in Illinois, which leads the nation in pumpkin production. There are also fears that warming temperatures could affect future crops. Scientists are now trying to develop heat-resistant pumpkins. Well, a husband and wife in New Zealand have dug up what could be the world's largest potato. As Ian Lee reports, the mammoth find down under is stirring up a lot of excitement.
It was a simple day of weeding the garden when Colin's hoe struck something huge.
I got the fork and jabbed into it and hoiked it out of the ground, and holy snapping turtle teeth. What's going on here? Yeah. What is it?
It was so big, it was beyond belief.
I said to Donna, I said, no, it's a potato. Yeah. And she went, no. I said, yeah, it is.
The portly potato tips the scale at 17.4 pounds. Something this large deserves a name. They settled on Doug because, they dug it up.
Doug, you're too special.
The New Zealand couple is now waiting to see if their super spud breaks the Guinness World Record, currently standing at a measly 10 pounds.
If we have it confirmed, there will be a celebration.
Yeah. Actually, I'm thinking, since I'm a bit of a hobbyist home brewer, I'm thinking about a special vodka.
But until then, the Titanic tater is living the easy life.
Poor fella, he doesn't have arms and legs and that sort of thing. So I made him a little trolley so he can take him out and give him a bit of sunshine now and then,
And of course, a bit of attention from their neighbors for their prized potato. Ian Lee, CBS News.
I bet Doug the Spud really enjoys those trolley rides. Well, Colin says he doesn't have any secret gardening tips. He just throws down a bunch of cow manure and straw and sees what happens. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon. Hungry yet? Mr. Food.
Serve it over pasta or out of a crock. Today's recipe is always welcome, and it'll make your taste buds very happy too.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
There we go over 7th and Range Line. We're beginning to break just a little bit. Now, certainly not enough that we've had a whole lot of sunshine, but like I said, we're headed in the right direction. Here's where we sit. Still cool with the overcast skies, 50 degrees. The humidity all the way down to 57%. We're really going to see this humidity drop here, not only for today, but all the way into the weekend. And here in a second, we'll talk about why the barometer is on the rise. Remember, you get the barometer on the rise 99.9% of the time, not all the time, but the majority of the time. That will mean the cloud cover is going to move away, and we're going to have blue sky. Okay, well, not a whole lot of blue sky today, but we'll get some before the sun sets at about 6:17. 50 right now in Chanute and in Joplin, 52 in Miami, a little bit cooler in Fort Scott, where we sit at 47, but no wind to talk about and don't have to worry about any wind chill. Now we're starting to see the break out to the east. The Joplin Tower cam was actually turned a little bit to the north, and so just up above right there is where we're beginning to see the break. It's going to take a little bit more time for everybody to break out to the west, but that's also too why the western portion of the 4 states only had frost advisories this morning, not the freeze warnings that we saw over southwest Missouri and northeast Oklahoma. Jet stream really took off today. Earlier, even this morning, it was tracking from Canada just about down through us. Now the trough of the jet stream, along with the accompanying rain for the Atlantic coast, we're talking about really about a good 150, 200 mile movement. And that's very unusual just during the course of one morning. And now as we see the ridge begin to build, that's an indicator of some warmth that's on our way. We talked about the barometer on the rise, and here's why. We've got a big diagonal high pressure system that stretches from Texas all the way up to Canada right there. We're just waiting for it to actually take effect and get rid of our cloud cover. And it kind of blocks everything on both ends. And even though we've got some low pressure out to our west, we don't see anything backing up on the other side of the Rockies, meaning we're going to be dry all the way into next week. Take a look at our afternoon planner. Probably mid-50s, about as good as we're going to get. Now, while that's substantially below normal, we should be about 64 degrees this time of year, still warmer than what we've had the past couple of days. And then as we dip into overnight, we're going to see the reemergence of some patchy frost. Now, with that being said, even though we do have some patchy frost on the way, don't think we're going to have as much widespread warnings nor advisories as what we had, because as we get into early Friday morning, and that's usually when the National Weather Service will have those take effect. Usually it runs a time period of about 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. But if we're going to sit at 39 and 40 out here, even 40 in Joplin, we may be able to isolate those frost advisories just for the eastern edge of southwest Missouri and then push out. I am going to kind of pick on Delaware County here just a little bit, because one that we already have in effect specifically is for Delaware and Benton counties, and those freeze warnings have already been extended. Obviously, they're not in effect right now, but in anticipation of tomorrow morning, those have been extended for our 2 highlighted counties, with the cold air pushing from Texas, kind of riding the southeastern portion of the United States right there. So we're really backing off of everything that we saw out to the east warning-wise as far as what we had this morning. And here's a good indicator of why. When we get into Friday morning, you notice the cold front really wants to push this way. We're talking about some abnormally warm air that's going to bump up from the Gulf through Texas and the deep southwest, all the way that the upper plains are going to be sitting in the 60s. They're actually going to be warmer than what we are on Friday afternoon. But then when we get to Saturday, boom, it's all the way through the Midwest. Everybody gets a good dose of some warmth, including places like Cody and Denver pushing up into the 70s at the beginning of November. Now, nice thing for us, how comfortable is this going to be? 68 and 62, 62 and 68 respectively, Saturday and Sunday. But hey, I kind of want to point out Sunday here, because we know the icons there, and we talk about pushing the clock back, get you an extra hour of sleep, but also too, just some friendly reminders here. That's a great time when you turn those clocks back. Go ahead and replace the batteries in your smoke detectors, your carbon monoxide detectors, and also don't forget about your weather radio. Also, perfect time to check the fire extinguisher. So a little fall safety there that should just go hand in hand with turning back your clock.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you turn back that clock. Check those batteries. All right, thanks.
I'm really curious. It'd be a great question. How many people actually turn back their clocks anymore because we're all right?
Well, I mean,
and then I have to get up and I have to do it to the microwave.
Yeah, you have a couple of them in your house, but like your phones and stuff, as soon as you're in service,
automatic, I know.
You're good to go.
Right.
Your vehicle, though. I have been in a vehicle where I've waited until the next time change to actually change it.
Yeah.
And then my son will get in there and he'll change it right away because it just annoys him.
Wise one was never in favor of updating a clock. Just figured 6 months later that, you know.
It happens.
It'd finally be right.
You're eventually going to get
Remember
back on
what
track.
they say about a broken clock? It's right twice a day.
Yeah, very true. Unless you're on Army time, and then only once. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Private First Class Leroy Hudgens in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Joplin, Missouri, served in Korea from 1951 to 1953. He fought with the Company A 5th Cavalry Regiment, earning the Bronze Star, United Nations Service Medal, and the Korean Service Medal with 2 bronze campaign stars. To Private Leroy Hudgens, we thank you, our 4th state hero. Today's recipe is so versatile you can serve it over pasta or put it in an oversized mug. We're making an Italian-style chili pot in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Over the years, we've made all sorts of chili. Everything from chunky Texas style, which of course doesn't have any beans, to a blonde chicken version that's light and bright. And today, we're cooking up a big pot of chili that combines lean ground beef and some flavor-packed Italian sausage. And the results are nothing short of lip-smacking delicious. The first thing we do is brown some lean ground beef, along with a good amount of Italian-style sausage that we remove from the casing. After that cooks for a few minutes, we toss in some chopped onion and garlic and let that cook for a bit. At this point, we add a couple cans of kidney beans, crushed tomatoes, a small can of tomato sauce, and a bunch of spices. After this simmers for half an hour or so, it's ready to serve. Talk about a dish that will warm you up from the inside out. Maybe top each bowl with some shredded cheddar cheese or a dollop of sour cream. Or hey, why not both? To get your hands on this flavor-packed chili recipe, simply visit our website and look for what we call Italian-style chili pot. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we have a chili-licious way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Still going to be cool throughout our afternoon, and remember, we'll see some frost advisories pop up for early Friday morning, but the mercury headed in the right direction as we'll top out around 56 with mostly sunny skies on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, how about up into the 60s, if not close to 70 by the time we close out the weekend.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, more than 1 in 10 people will have a kidney stone at some point in their lives. Well, you can't always avoid having one. You can be aware of certain risks and Health Watch surprising risk factors for kidney stones. Plus, a jury convicts a Neosho man of stealing a deputy's patrol vehicle and fleeing. And McDonald County students get to experience a heavy equipment simulator used to train new construction employees. How cool is that? Join us.
Where was that when I was a kid?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's
Michael's over there like super excited about this one.
Always too late for the cool stuff, but you're not too late to watch KOAM News at 5.
All right, thanks for joining us for the KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.